let's say an IRS agent sends you a letter. Says you owe X amount of dollars, you need to file whatever.
All right.
What do?
You just ask them, or you send it back and say, what I always say is like, when I address somebody in official capacity, it's like I would say, like, I'm a man, say you're a woman, whatever, and my name is whatever, and is the man informing me that I owe a debt to the IRS? So the whole trick is you've got to get them down out of their agent level and put them on the same level playing field as you, that it's a man or a woman making a claim that you owe a debt. So you won't want to talk to them in their official capacity. You want to talk to them as a man or a woman. So they won't do that. They'll only talk to you as an agent because they believe that they're immune from a lawsuit if they could say that they're only acting as an agent or the principal. If you want to sue somebody, sue the IRS. Like I told you folks, my mom worked for the IRS for many years as a tax auditor, and she told me that. She said if a man was sitting across the table from her and said, okay, you claiming, ma'am, that I owe $86,312.02, can you sign your name to it as true? And she said, well, absolutely not. She wouldn't be able to. She said, because I have no firsthand knowledge. If that man worked that year, I wasn't there when he was making the money. I have no idea how much money he truly made. She said, I couldn't testify under oath information that anything that I say that the assessment in this taxes is true. She said, I have no clue.
All right. Well, let's say they send you a letter and claim or state that you need to file a return and that they're going to put a lien on you or levy you for so many thousands of dollars, and then they just wipe out your bank account. Now what do you do?
Well, what's good is, like I said, they'll put a letter in what you got to watch the verbiage they use, because they'll never say the word say. They'll say they maintain a position or something like that, because only a man can say something, and only a man can state or only a man can declare. So see, there's certain things that they have to, words that they have to be technically wary of, that they can't say certain things. So you just got to watch the language that they use, because you want to get them always back to the common law side. You always want to get on the man and woman side. It's like, again, who is this man who is making a claim that I owe anything, any amount of money?
Okay, but they proceeded to wipe out your bank account. Now what?
Well, you have, what it is when they give you an assessment, you got 3 days to respond to the assessment. After 10 days, if you fail to respond, they're gonna lien everything. They're gonna freeze your bank account. They're gonna do all that good stuff that you're talking about. But you got 3 days to respond when you first get the letter, so you got to write back as fast as you can, and just say to them, who is the man or woman who's making it that I owe the IRS money? Can you please inform me your name? Can you give me your name, like the nature of the person who's claiming that I owe a debt? And they have to respond back, like, they'd have to say,
what if they don't respond back and they just wipe out your bank account?
Well, what you did is you established proof that you were trying to settle a matter on a private side on an administrative capacity, and they refused to respond back. So it's everybody knows that UCC stuff. Everybody knows, negotiable instruments. Everybody knows it's, under Section 3, it's 501, 503, and 507 negotiable instruments. Tendering an offer, bad faith, either dishonoring the debt. Everybody knows those simple UCC codes. So the IRS knows them as well. So as long as you have proof that you were trying to settle a matter on a private side, and that way they can't say that you ignored them, because once you ignore it, everybody knows that means that you dishonored the presentment and that you tacitly acquiesced to their claim that you owed a debt. So you just need to prove that you were trying to communicate with them and they refused to respond. You just do. Everybody knows. I'm sure you know that, Andrew. You've known that.
Okay, so you were trying to communicate with them and they refused to respond.
Right.
And where do you go with that?
Well,
I mean, they succeeded in wiping out your bank account, and that's.
Well, like I said, if you get it back to them within 3 days, like I said, you get them you get them back the request for a bill. Or and then you ask them for a bill. If they sent you a tax.
I'm telling you, they're just overlooking whatever you've mailed them, and proceeded to wipe out your bank account.
Okay, well then I guess a good thing to do then too is make a phone call and record the phone call, and just that way you could prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you made contact with this person who sent you this, and you called the phone number up and you asked them, who's making this claim against who wants to administrate my property, and by what right do you believe that you can administrate my property? See, because that's the whole thing I tell people all the time. A man and a woman has rights, and the IRS has like a duty and obligation or a privilege to exist. They're chartered. So they have to operate under certain standards and rules. We don't have to operate under any rules because we don't have a ruler in our lives. I don't have anybody called a ruler. That's why everybody left Europe, because there was time under the control.
Okay, so now they've taken all your money out of the bank, wiped out your bank account. What's the next step?
Well, like I said to one man yesterday, he asked me something similar to that. I said, well, just go to the local district court and file a claim that somebody's administrating your property without any rights. And since the United States operates in all 50 states, just make a claim in your local district court. You don't have to go to some fancy capital or fancy federal court. Just go to your local mom and pop courthouse down the road and file a claim of that somebody's administrating your property without any debt, they're causing you harm, and not only do you want your property returned to you immediately, you want a certain amount of money back for the aggravation of having to file a suit to claim your money back, to claim your property back.
Have you ever done anything like that?
I haven't. Like I said, my mom explained to me that it was all fraud back in 1987, so I explained to you guys.
Still fraud now. It's 2013 and still fraud. So what
I haven't dealt with them since 1988 because I have nothing to gain by it. I have no benefit to conducting business with them. Can you show me a benefit in which I derive by intercoursing with with them? I don't.
Yeah, but if they wipe out your bank account, it's your life savings.
I'd sue in a local district court. Like I said, any mom or pop court. I would never go to a federal, like Orin Schiff went to a federal tax court. That was crazy. He should just went up to Clark County. He should just went up there and to the Clark County courthouse right there by the post office and filed a claim that somebody's trying to administrate his property without any rights, because the IRS has no rights. They have no rights.
Yeah, but if you went into court and you filed a lawsuit against the IRS agent and they saw that it was an IRS agent, they'd probably laugh at you.
No, you'd sue against...
They'd say, oh, you're in the wrong court or something.
Look at it. An easy case for you guys to go look up. It was in 1997. It was Jennifer Flowers versus Bill Clinton. Now, she was just a bimbo hotel clerk, and Bill Clinton asked her to bring up some towels to his room. So I
remember that.
So Bill Clinton said what to the United States Supreme Court? I'm the President of the United States. Why should I go down to some mom-and-pop rinky-dink district court in Arkansas and answer some bimbo's claim that I exposed myself to her 10 years ago? And the Supreme Court said, we don't care who you think you are. You're going to go down there and answer a civil complaint. Not only do you have less status than another man or woman, you are a public servant, and it's your duty to go down to Arkansas and answer every claim. And he said, well, what happens if 1,000 women make claims all over the country? And the Supreme Court said, you're going to be a busy boy. He's like, well, I got the finger on the button. I can't walk away from the White House. I got things to do. And they said, hasta la vista, buddy. You're going to lose by default. Don't answer her claim against you, you're going to lose. So that's what would happen to the IRS. You don't answer the claim against you, you're going to lose. Just like the President of the United States was told. We don't care how powerful of a man you think you are. You've got to answer every claim within 21 days, or you're going to lose. So then,
well, I'd love for you to show me step by step what exactly to do. What kind of a claim are you saying one would file in the court?
Well, just that one sentence thing. Like I said, they just say, I'm a man. You just say that there would be a trespass. You just file it, in your local mom and pop court. You say you're a woman.
I don't know what a local mom and pop court is. I'm in California.
What I'm saying is you don't have to go to anything fancy. You don't have to go to a United States District Court. You don't got to go to some fancy court. Just any court that's local to you. Whatever the closest court and house is next to you, just file a claim against them. That's all. And all, like I said, is on the front page, on the cover sheet itself, on the caption, you just write a trespass, And underneath trespass, you just write administrating my property without rights. And then you just put your name on one side and the IRS on the other side. And that's all you need to do for the front page. And then the next page, if you want to, you could just say, the parties. You could say what your name is and that you're a woman and you have rights, and nobody has a right to administrate my property without any rights. And then underneath it, you put the defendant's name. You just say the IRS, and they're trying to administrate my property without any rights, without my consent. And then the next thing, you just put down the statement of the facts. It's like I went home one day, I checked my bank, and it was empty. And you say, I want my money to be restored and my account to be restored whole. And then, just at the next thing, you just say, the remedy that you want is that you want a certain amount of money for the damages, for them wasting, your time filing a lawsuit.
So in what court did you say to file that in?
Any local court, whatever your closest local district court. See, here in Virginia, they have district courts, circuits courts, and then, like you said, then you'd have the Court of Appeals up here, Court of Hustings. See, but you wouldn't have a Court of Hustings in California. You guys have all superior courts, and then they're all broken down into smaller, sections. So, like I said, whichever one that you folks just normally file a claim where, somebody hit your dog with a car, that kind of court, nothing fancy.
So that would be like a state court.
Yeah, just a state court, county court. Yeah, I'd do it in a county court. Make them come answer. They conduct business in all 50 states. So I would bring it to any local little sleepy courthouse. So your stuff gets moved through quick.
So what if it's after the fact, though? I mean, what if it's like, what if they they wiped out your account, a couple of years ago?
Same thing. You just say the same thing.
Doesn't matter, right?
No, there's no statute. There's no statute. There's no such thing as a statute of limitation. That's why I love listening to these shows like Handle on the Law. Where, like that guy Handel says, the statute 2 years, 3 years, it ran out. Oh, too bad. There's no such thing as a statute of limitation on man in common law. And if anybody doesn't believe that, you could go to the Judiciary Act of 1793, Clause 31. And it'll say that even your great-great-great-grandkids can file a claim if you've been done wrong. There is no such thing as a statute. Man can't be latched. It's L-A-C-H-E-S. It latches on a man. You can't attach like a hook or a latch on a man or a limitation on a man. Man can do whatever he wishes. See, but when you have a rule, when you abide by certain federal rules of procedures or California rules of procedures, then you're latched. So if you try to use any of their ridiculous rules of procedure or any of their codes or any of their Supreme Court rulings, you're going to be latched because you're attaching yourselves to their rules. So as long as you stay on the common law side, man can never be ruled, man can never be latched. So that's why I try to say to these folks that this stuff is so simple, and even though these guys are great at going through the, Acts of 1850 and Bob versus Jones, 1990, it's pointless. If you want to bound yourselves, and you can actually be bound by their rules, well, then you can't cry about when you say, well, wait a second, how did they get me out of common law? Well, because you decided to use their cases and their law and their precedent, which was based on rules. It's pretty simple. Stay in a common law, talk simple, talk plain, do it in one page, and get out of there. Let them try.
So you're gonna file the fee in their court and do that.
Yeah, I'd file a fee, even though I'm trying to remember that case. It wasn't too long ago either. It was back in the 1970s. But what it was a German was going to be sent back to Germany, East Germany, because he was working with the Vietnam protesters, and the United States government wanted to send him back. So there was a ruling like that I really liked, and it says it doesn't matter. It's a matter of national security. If we're at a time of war or if it's a national emergency, the government can't create any rule or any code to interfere with the rights of man. So even if they say it's a matter of national security, the United States Supreme Court already said the government can't interfere with the rights of man. So they can't create a rule or they can't create a code to interfere with your rights. So if you're dumb enough to use codes in your case, with your lawsuit, then you bound yourselves to their rules. So I said, you guys got to just do it in one page, make it simple, make it plain, and just say they administrated my property without rights. I didn't give them any consent. I'm a man. I have rights. They're the IRS, and they have no rights. They're chartered. And I'd never consented to give them a dime. Let them bring that fact forward that I did. And then when they try to say anything in court in the common law, they can't open their mouth because they have no standing in a common law court. That's Trinity versus Pagliaro, 1964, which clearly says that an attorney can't move a court, petition a court, make a motion for court, make a summary judgment. They can't present any evidence, any notices to the court because they're an attorney. They have no first-hand knowledge. So the IRS would actually have to show up in court. Somebody named Bob IRS, Susie IRS would actually have to show up and say, you owe me a debt. Good luck with that.
Shrink Rat wants to say something.
Hey.
Shrink Rat.
Mr. Shrink from North Carolina.
Hello. I like the idea of going in common law and so forth, and I think I might choose that option at some point. But I do know that if you choose to go against the IRS, if they've levied something or whatever, lien something, you can go after them in the FDCPA, and you can beat them then. I do have a court case.
Do you know anyone that's done that?
Oh, yes, I do. I have a court case from November 2011 in the Middle Federal District, North Carolina, where an individual guy just did that, and he went after the two IRS agents' names that were on the levy. One of them was just a number, and of course they didn't show up because they don't use their real names. But the Justice Department did send an attorney, which he got rid of because they're not allowed to represent the individuals in their private capacity. And he was able to get the levy against his Social Security payment dropped by the court. He was able to get his non-resident alien status established by the court according to the 1802 statute, and he was able to get his money back. And that was working within the statutory system, which, granted has its issues, but the FDCPA, with respect to the IRS is a private debt collection company, and so it doesn't have status. And in addition, they were able to present evidence from the Secretary of State that the IRS was not licensed to do business in North Carolina.
Yeah, well,
so they were.
Yeah, almost everything.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, almost everything you said was that Trinity versus Pagliaro. Everything you said there, because
there were similarities in a sense, but they couldn't present themselves because those names don't exist.
Right. So, like I said to you, either you could go the long route like that and learn all the stuff that this other man learned, and learn all these acts of 1802, and learn all these acts that this man's doing.
Well, no, the 1802 one wasn't all that difficult to learn, but what he had to know was FDCPA, which is Federal Debt Collection practices, and he beat them on that.
Saying is, you're a doctor, and you're incredibly intelligent. So you went to college.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm old and my memory is failing.
What I'm trying to say is, Angela has a lot of people who are like truck drivers or young kids who aren't as sharp as you are and don't want to do all this massive research. And you know what I'm saying? So I'm just telling them how to do a one-page simple thing. How to just say, nobody has the right to administrate my property. Let that man come forward before court and testify that they do. They won't show up, and you'll get a default judgment against them. Now, can you do the 1802? Can you do that non-resident alien stuff? Yeah, I mean, you and I can, because we've done this for enough years, and it just flows off the top of our head. But a lot of these folks who are listening to this call.
Oh, I'm not doubting what you're saying. I agree with you completely, Carl. And that there's also, that's why I said there's a lot of appeal to me regarding the common law approach. If you can get a court to operate in common law, and of course they don't operate in traditional American common law, they operate in British royal common law.
Like I said, down here we have no problem with that whatsoever, because like I said, I went to sit and help my sister one, and I said to her, the very first thing you ask this judge, is this a common law proceeding, or is this under civil? And she said, is this common law, is this civil? He said, common law. I just patted her on the back, and I said, I'll see you in 10 minutes. Goodbye, because the other side can't speak. Have a nice day.
And they can't speak. You're right.
And that's all you ask the judge is, you say, are you all aware that this is under the common law, right? And he'll say yes or no. And of course he'll say yes, especially if you put it in writing. This is the whole problem with you folks, is you people want this magical judge to stand in front of you and all of a sudden recognize you have common law when you didn't put it in paper and put it before him and say if anybody tries to adjudicate this matter other than a trial by jury, he's going to be bound and held liable for any damage that's going to cost me without my consent, because the person in a black robe, if he doesn't have consent from you to make a ruling, he's going to be held liable for the judgment, just like any other man would be held liable. So I'm trying to get everything.
No, that's what I like about your approach, Carl, and I really do appreciate you talking about it, because I learn a lot from you.
Because what happens is now you did the IRS, okay? Now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get everybody just a cookie cutter, easy one-page lawsuit across the board. Now when somebody gets them for smoking a cigarette someplace, file my one-page claim. Somebody gets them for a traffic ticket, file the one-page claim. You don't have to learn new statutes. You don't have to learn new acts. You don't have to learn new codes. Just file a one-page claim that they're trying to administrate your property without any.
So what if somebody shows up at your house?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you raked up a whole bunch of leaves and you had a big pile in your front yard, and then all of a sudden you're stricken with a backache. So 2 weeks goes by and those leaves are still piled up in your yard. Someone from the county shows up, or the state or whoever, and says that you need to take care of those leaves, that it's an emergency situation, or that, they're going to fine you. Do you make a claim against them?
Well, like I said, everything would be like that somebody's trying to administrate your property without any rights. That's your property. Now, if you want 10,000 leaves on your property, who's anybody to tell you can't have all those leaves on your property? That's what you have to say. Who's trying to tell me what I can and cannot do with my property?
Right.
So like I always say to people, you give them a notice to cease and desist, or you give them a fair warning and saying, I would like to know the man or the woman who is trying to tell me to do something. Who's trying to order me? Who's going to compensate me? Like, I'll be glad to be ordered about by anybody. I'd love taking orders, because that's the only way I make money is if somebody gives me an order. So if you want to give me an order, I'll be more than glad to do what you wish. Just if you want me to do my leaves, it's going to take me 3 hours, and I'm going to charge you $100 an hour. I'll be more than glad to carry out your wish. Who wishes me to remove my leaves? Is his name Bob Johnson? John Doe? Give me a name. So I get billed.
They can't do that, of course, because it's everything is a private corporation.
Well, like I said, that's everybody knows how to do.
Okay, but what if said employee leaves their business card on your door?
No, you got a name. You call them up on the phone and say, who left this card on my door? Oh, hi, Bob Jones. Are you ordering me to do my leaves? Good. I only charge $100 an hour.
And wouldn't you also ask him if he were an injured party?
What's that?
And wouldn't you also make sure that he is willing to test that he is an injured party?
Well, at first you just ask him if that's his wish for you to perform an act for him. Is he ordering you to do something? Every man's heart is worth his, every man's slave is worth his hire, whatever that crazy Bible saying is.
What if you just said, are you trying to engage a contract with me?
And you're trying to order me to do something. Is this an order? I love being ordered.
Trying to contract with you. Well, yeah.
But he can't order. He really can't order in the real sense because he's coming from the county or from the city, and those are both private companies. They don't have any authority over your land.
Well, it's just like when you go to McDonald's, they don't make any money until they say, can I take your order? So I don't make any money until I say to somebody, can I take your order? What would you order me to do? So let them give you an order.